What if the greatest threat to your power isn't the world around you, but the part of yourself you refuse to see? What if the darkest parts of your mind, the ones you suppress, the ones you fear, are the very source of your strength? Carl Jung believed that most people are slaves, not because of society, but because they are ruled by the shadows within. The shadow, the hidden side of your psyche, holds the emotions, desires, and instincts you deny. You cannot destroy it, you cannot ignore it, but you can master it. Jung's dark law is simple. The man who integrates his shadow becomes untouchable. The man who rejects it is forever controlled by it. Jung discovered that every human being carries a hidden self, a reservoir of thoughts, impulses, and instincts that the conscious mind rejects. This is not just darkness. It is the truth you don't want to admit. Your envy, your rage, your hunger for control, your fear of weakness. We wear masks to hide these forces from the world and from ourselves. Jung called this mask the persona. But what lies beneath the mask is far more powerful because it is real. When you suppress your shadow, it does not vanish. It grows stronger. It leaks into your life through anger, self-sabotage, and fear. And the man who denies this part of himself becomes fragile, a prisoner of his own illusions. Jung's dark law teaches that the only way to become whole is to face what you fear inside yourself. The shadow is not your enemy. It is your hidden ally. A man who acknowledges his aggression can channel it into discipline. A man who understands his selfishness can use it to negotiate, to lead, to protect. The shadow, when brought to light, becomes a weapon. Jung observed that those who integrate their dark side become unpredictable, formidable, and deeply magnetic. Why? Because they are no longer controlled by unconscious drives. They own every part of who they are. The weak hide their flaws. The strong confront them, shape them, and use them. Look at the people who seem harmless, who suppress their anger, who avoid confrontation at all costs. These are the same people who explode under pressure. They are ruled by what they pretend doesn't exist. Jung believed that the denial of the shadow is why societies crumble. When individuals refuse to confront their own darkness, they project it outward, onto others, onto enemies, onto scapegoats. Nations, like men, are destroyed by the shadows they refuse to acknowledge. This is why Jung saw integration as not just a personal challenge, but a moral necessity. The man who cannot face himself cannot face the world. To follow Jung's dark law, you must stop pretending to be purely good. You are not only light, you are both predator and prey, saint and sinner. The man who accepts this becomes whole. Start by watching your reactions. When jealousy rises, don't hide it. Trace its roots. When anger surfaces, ask what it's protecting. When fear grips you, see it as a signal, not a weakness. The shadow becomes your servant when you give it a voice. Write your darkest thoughts. Speak the truth you're afraid of. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Power is not gained by suppressing your darker instincts. It is gained by controlling them with precision. The shadow, once mastered, gives you clarity that others lack. A man who has no shadow is naive. He is easy to control. But a man who owns his shadow, who has faced his darkness and made peace with it, is dangerous. Not because he is cruel, but because he is unshakable. This is the kind of man who does not flinch when others panic, who does not hide from harsh truths, who cannot be manipulated by guilt or shame. Carl Jung's dark law teaches that true power is self-mastery. You cannot rule others until you rule yourself. And you cannot rule yourself until you have entered the dark places within and claimed them as your own. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is the missing half of who you are. And until you reclaim it, you will always be a servant to the parts of yourself you refuse to see. Carl Jung did not promise comfort. He promised transformation. Power does not come from being harmless. It comes from becoming whole. And the man who integrates his shadow becomes unbreakable.